Unleashing the Wild Witch, Chapter 2, Mason. I could hear the thunder rolling in the distance, like a train rolling into the station. I knew it wasn't a normal storm, as I could feel the intricate patterns of power swirl through the atmosphere. No, this was a magical storm, and I was determined to discover the source of it. I looked through the arched window that was carved into the wall of the marble tower, the Tower of Roses. I could see the purplish clouds swirling around each other, hanging above the poorer part of the city. Every time lightning jumped from one cloud to another, the buildings below became illuminated in an eerie purple light, like some sort of failed magical experiment. Once again, I had been called by one of the councillors. Esholm was full of bureaucrats who liked their rules and paperwork as much as I liked my gadgets. I just hoped they didn't let me wait here as long as the last time, lest I grow a beard. Involuntarily, I touched my immaculate smooth jaw as I studied the storm cloud intensely. Interesting, it was almost as if the energy for this unsightly weather emanated from one point in the city. Very interesting indeed. Right when lightning struck down into the city, I heard the door behind me open with a squeak. "You may come in." I recognized the haughty voice as Brendan Greystone's, the youngest councillor in the tower. I suppressed a shudder. I hated the politics in the city. The only way Brendan was able to get into the council at such a young age was by the hand of his bribe-happy father. "Stay polite, Mason," I reminded myself. "It's not worth getting into trouble over his youthful arrogance." I straightened my coat and took on my most upright and proudest posture as I strode into the luxurious office. "Councillor Greystone, what a delight to see you!" Inwardly, I groaned at my sweet voice. Disgusting. "There must be an important reason why you have summoned me, might I add, fairly late in the evening?" As usual, Brendan didn't even look up from his paperwork to acknowledge me. I was sure he did it on purpose, just to show me my place. The ticking of his golden clock grew awfully loud as he scribbled something down. His desk was made of the most expensive mahogany wood, with intricate flower patterns carved into the back panels. Impatiently, I waited, until finally he lifted his droopy eyes and addressed me. "Ah yes, Mason." The tone he used made it clear he was disgusted by me. "Well, the feeling is mutual, dear Brendan. I need you to go over to the train station and figure out what is going on over there. Reports have been coming in of an apparition appearing on platform number 7. Either it's a prank or another one of those damn wild witches is disturbing the peace again. Either way, I want you to get to the bottom of this." The thunder outside got louder, and lightning struck nearby, rattling the windows in the tower and illuminating the numerous trophies on the wall. A flicker of fear slid over Brendan's face. Oh, he was such a coward. "Oh, and Mason, it's about time you did something about this awful weather, don't you think?" he added disdainfully. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. Brendan always managed to get my hackles up. "As you wish, councillor. I will look into it. Now that I am here, I want to take the opportunity to address an urgent matter." I watched as an irritated expression rolled over his face and he sighed dramatically. "If you must." I steeled myself before relaying my complaint, as I knew that it would probably fall on deaf ears. "Councillor, as you know, I am greatly opposed to the deportation of the unfortunate souls here in the city." I held up my hand as Brendan tried to interrupt me. "Hear me out, Brendan. This is taking on ridiculous proportions. People are going missing at an alarming rate. This needs to stop." I saw a flicker of malice slide over Brendan's face, and I knew in that moment that once again my pleas would not be heard. "You just keep to your assignments, Mason, and keep your nose out of our business. You don't want to end up like that meddling father of yours." And with that, he returned his attention back to the paperwork on his desk, leaving me seething and frustrated. I balled my fists as I did my best to swallow a snarky reply. I could not afford to fall out of grace with the council. Too much depended on me having access to the tower. I knew it was no use to try and start the conversation again. Once Brandon was done with you, he was done. So I turned around and strode out of his office with as much dignity as I could muster. Infuriated, I took the spiral staircase down to the entrance of the tower. Oh, how I would like to pulverize his ugly head like a ripe melon. How dare he bring up my father? Once again, I felt powerless in the face of this corruption. I wondered whether my father had felt the same as he had tried to bring light to the dark side of the council. I wish I had known him better and asked more questions before he passed. I might have been of more use to him. All I had now was his journal with his notes that I had managed to keep secret. If only I had known about his investigation sooner. As I opened the large door, a gust of wind ripped me from my thoughts. The weather had indeed turned awful. I drew the hood of my green woolen cloak over my head to shield me from the pounding rain, carefully keeping an eye on the now dark sky. The clouds above swirled around in slow, ominous circles. Lightning illuminated the thick mass at regular intervals. Just like my father, I couldn't resist getting to the bottom of a mystery. This storm was calling to me, like a siren luring a sailor. The heck with Brandon, his train station could wait. This storm was way more intriguing to me, especially as I could almost taste the magic in the air. What or who could unleash such raw energy? An energy that was tickling my senses and luring me closer. It was quite delectable, if I may say. Ignoring the rain that now started to soak through my cloak, I focused on the chaos of energy. It was marvelous and horrendous at the same time, a jumbled mass of energy, as if someone had thrown all kinds of paint into a bucket and stirred it to see what would happen. Of course, the colors were not made from paint. They were made from different emotions. As I sent out my own energy to carefully taste the swirling mass, faint impressions of anger, fear, worry, and resentment reached me. Oh, this was certainly the work of a human for sure, not some sort of natural phenomenon. Who would throw their energy so blatantly out there for everyone to see? This didn't make sense. What was the purpose of this storm? Unless it was somehow accidental? Could it be someone untrained in magic, a wild witch, perhaps? Interesting. If it was a wild witch, I had to be quick to find him or her before someone connected to the council did. Perhaps I could prevent this one from getting deported. Determined to find this mystery person, I turned the corner towards the crafts quarter, the streets getting smaller the further away I got from the tower. Intrigued, I followed the energy as I pinpointed its origin a couple of streets away. Hurried, I took the cobblestone roads, now thoroughly soaked by the relentless rain. The closer I got, the stronger I felt the pull of the energy. It was marvelous, and I ached to feel more of it, to bathe myself in its delectable purple swirls. Never had a particular magic had such an impact on me. I just had to find the source of it. Almost feverish, I searched the narrow streets of the crafts quarter, wondering in the back of my head whether I had lost my mind. The urge to uncover this enigma had me trembling in anticipation, my heart quickening the closer I got. Finally, I stepped around the corner and my eyes fell on an old building, light falling through the gaps between the drawn curtains. A faint sound of laughing and talking drifted out, barely audible above the roar of thunder. Above the oak door was a rustic sign, the blinking star. This was it, I was certain. I hesitated before I reached for the door. The anticipation was almost too much. As soon as I opened the sturdy door, my eyes fell on a voluptuous woman behind the bar. Lightning struck behind me, and our eyes met. Instantly I knew the energy was hers. for the chaos of emotions was reflected in her emerald eyes. I took her in, and it almost felt as if she could quell my thirst. Her auburn hair framed her round face, and my eyes were drawn to her full sensual lips. Despite her dark emotions, she stood proud, almost as if she challenged the world. There was no hint of her deliberately casting magic, no hand signs or muttered spells. Could it be that she was oblivious to the chaos that emanated from her? This could mean that she was indeed a wild witch. Realizing that I was blatantly staring at her, I took in the rest of the bar in search of an empty seat. This was certainly not the type of establishment that I would normally go to, but this mystery just got 10 times more intriguing now that I knew she was the source. I just had to spend some more time here. I passed a group of werewolves that were loudly laughing to reach a table in the corner that was still empty. This certainly was a somewhat shady establishment. Why would a woman like her want to work here? Maybe she had no choice? Maybe she was hiding from someone, perhaps the council? One thing was certain, there were more questions than answers. This mystery certainly got a lot deeper, and I intended to get to the bottom of this.